Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. But if you're new here, well then hey, welcome to Just Horrifying. If you guys love true crimes, don't mind an Aries speaking her mind, and of course don't take offense to any lewdness coming out of my mouth, then I strongly suggest you subscribe to my channel. So, we all heard of the 1980 movie Friday the 13th. You know, the one where a crazy machete-carrying psycho named Jason, who terrorizes and kills teenage campers at Camp Crystal Lake? Well, luckily for us, this movie's fake, right? But what if it wasn't fake, and the movie was based on real events? This is the true story of a murder that many people believe inspired the 1980s film. 20 years earlier, in 1960, a continent apart from Finland, there were 4 teenagers, 2 teenage girls, Anya and Mila. Both were 15 years old, and their 18-year-old boyfriends, Seppo and Niles, went camping. The teenagers set out for an innocent camping trip on the beautiful Lake Bodom. Okay, so you know we were all teenagers at once, so not sure if it was really supposed to be an innocent camping trip. Nonetheless, it should have been a good old time for the teens. However, this camping trip would turn into one of Finland's biggest unsolved mysteries and the inspiration for several films, one of which many, like I said before, believe is Friday the 13th. The teens ended up setting camp by the lake. The next morning at 6 a.m., a group of boys who were bird watching at the lake saw a blonde man walking away from the teens' campsite. Not really thinking anything about it, the boys left the lake. It wasn't until roughly around 11 a.m. when a jogger ran by the campsite and found a horrific scene and called the police. When the police arrived, they found the lifeless bodies of Anya and Seppo inside their tent, where it looked like the killer had cut the ties, causing the tent to fall on them and then stab them multiple times through the tent. On top of the tent, the lifeless, half-naked body of Mila was discovered. She had sustained severe injuries, which included being stabbed after she was already dead. Niles, her boyfriend's body, was also discovered outside the tent and suffered several injuries, which included a concussion, a fractured jaw, and a deep stab wound to the head. However, unlike the others, he was still alive. After the attack, the killer took several items from the teens, which included their wallets and some clothing. The items were recovered about a half-mile away, along with Niles' shoes, who claimed to have no recollection of the attack. Over the years, the police investigated numerous individuals and narrowed it down to 3 primary suspects, each with their own reasons for suspicion. The first was a local man who lived by the lake who didn't like campers at all, even going as far to throwing rocks at children. One night, while drunk, he allegedly confessed to the murders to a neighbor. However, his wife confirmed that he had been at home all night with her. 9 years later, he would drown himself in Lake Bodom. After his death, his wife recanted her alibi, stating she was afraid of him. The second man, Hans, was a former KGB member and a suspected former Nazi. Hans went into a local hospital the day after the murders with blood-stained clothes and dirt under his nails. Additionally, the hospital staff said he was acting really nervous. However, he ended up providing police with a solid alibi and was no longer investigated, but his clothes were never collected. Later on his deathbed, he would confess to the murders, but police dismissed his confession based on his versions of events. The third suspect, was someone who had been at the scene and was the only survivor, Niles. After all, his shoes were found with the items taken from the victims. However, police did not have enough to arrest him until 44 years later when the case was reopened in 2004. Technology advancements allowed for DNA testing on his shoes, which were determined to have the victim's blood on them, and new eyewitness testimony which claimed that Niles and Seppo had entered the girl's tent that night and Niles was acting aggressive. These new details led to the arrest of Niles. However, a year later he won his appeal and was released. Since then, many of the suspects have died, and my guess is this case will never be solved. However, there is no doubt that this case shares numerous similarities to the popular Friday the 13th movie. Alright, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this unsolved murder that could have been the inspiration for Friday the 13th. Till next time, bye.